Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi called for the creation of a global standard for technologies such as social media and crypto. I'm not sure if Mr. Modi heard of open source, of the concept of open source, which is basically a global standard. But also Modi said that emerging technologies such as crypto should be used to empower democracies, not undermine them. Some good old school cypherpunks would say that, crypto does not owe anything to your democracy or not. More regulation-friendly inclined people would say that, yeah, India, go, regulate the hell out of it. But just a reminder that Indian government used to be quite hostile to crypto earlier this year. There was an attempt to stop and hinder any crypto-related transactions. And some people even got the notices from their banks saying that, we see that you are sending money to a crypto exchange. Maybe you just take your money and leave our bank and stuff. But it did not, it did not stop Indians from buying crypto. They started trading peer-to-peer. So, what do you guys think? Is it even, should it, does crypto has anything to do, with improving your democracy or not? What do you think, Will?
Yeah, I'll pick it up. I think that the India and crypto story has a lot to be played out over the next 10 years. I think like the last 5 years, we've been very focused, at least the news media has been very focused on these random proclamations from the Indian government over if Bitcoin is going to be legal or not legal, or how does it fall into some sort of regulatory framework. And I think for the most part, it's become increasingly clear that it's very complex, it's very nuanced, and it's hard to understand what all these headlines really mean to the Indian government themselves and how they're going to govern Bitcoin going forward. But I think it's better just to take a zoom out approach and look at what is coming out of India right now. The new CEO of Twitter, he's Indian, he's from India, and he is, he's running one of the largest, most important Web3 companies in the world. And you don't have to stop there. There's a lot more. I think Balaji Srinivasan has been doing a lot of great work on this topic, talking about how India is becoming a new place for startups, tech startups, and a new place for CEO leadership coming into tech right now. That's a huge play for India going forward. At the same time, while the US may be lagging behind in some of those areas, and China is definitely lagging behind in those areas because they're kind of closing off some of those tech sectors. So I think in general, I'm very bullish on Bitcoin in India going forward. I think that it just needs to be understood a little bit more. And I do think in general that these headlines can kind of be overblown a little bit. Zach, I'll throw it down to you.
I'm with Anna on returning to sort of the cypherpunk roots of this thing. And I think, crypto is like necessarily an affront to established and incumbent institutions, right? The whole idea of Bitcoin is that it separates money from the state, which is a pretty crazy idea. And now that Bitcoin is such a big thing, states are kind of grappling with this. And they're like, oh, shit, wait a minute. This is bad. So I think like necessarily, crypto is something that sort of can run counter to the established institutions, whether that be government institutions or other. So I think right now we're sort of in this moment, this sort of awakening. We saw it over the course of this last year, whether it was central bankers making certain proclamations or politicians sort of trying to find ways, again, to cram this thing that is necessarily an affront to established power into the channels of established power. We are still seeing that process, that dynamic process of conflict and friction happen every day, whether it's in Washington, D.C., whether it's in New Delhi, whether it's in Brussels. We're seeing this story happen again and again, and this is just the latest one that we're seeing. So, yeah, I don't know, Anna, what do you think?
I think the more different governments try to regulate crypto, it will be interesting to see, first of all, if the trends in regulation differ in different parts of the world and different countries. How would how would global startups deal with it? If you have certain rules.
I'll come in and save you. Don't worry. We'll save you.
Getting emotional. This is a
very emotional topic for you.
Getting choked up.